Hi, this is Cheryl of Majestic Wire Artworks. Today I'm going to show you how to make these leaf drop earrings. Now it's not that hard, and you might have seen other people do it and thought, oh, I could never do that. But you know what? I bet you can. So let's start. Now this is basically just a fancy head pin. And all we're going to do is we're going to start with making the leaf at the bottom. So in your description is your supply list. And what I have is your 8.5-inch piece of copper wire, or 22 centimeters approximately. It's a little bit longer, but that's okay. And I want you to bend it at 3.5 inches. That's going to be the shorter part, and that's the part that we're gonna shape the leaf with, I'd say. Half of the leaf anyways. And well, you'll see in a second. So this part is 9 centimeters for those that are in metric. And what I want you to do is at that band, grab your chain nose pliers. And we're going to bend it even more, like this. And then we're pinching it at the end. So it's best to gradually do it, and it's going to twist and turn on you. So at this point, we can go like this and put it right in the pliers, and we're going to kind of crimp it totally together. And it will fight you. I'll warn you that. Okay, I'm going to flatten this out. And you just keep working at it until you have it totally crimped together. See? You can't, I'm going to bring it close up. Not much space in between there, okay? Now the next thing you're going to do is you're going to spread it apart. But we don't want to, as you see, we don't want to have too far apart. But about there. And then I want you to take whatever shape you're using for your mandrel. And I've got a Jiffy marker basically here. And it's, the dimensions are in the supply list. It's about 1 centimeter in diameter. Okay, and because I've already done one, this is the second one. We want it to be similar in size and shape. So I'm going to grab the other one, and you'll do a comparison when you make yours. Okay, so it's a little bit smaller. So we're going to just put the pen back in, push it down. And then shape it again. And you keep doing that. So what I did is I basically split this apart. And maybe I need to do a little bit more. And then shaped it again around the pen. Let's see. And we still need to get further down. You know, I bet you what happened to me is when I was doing this part, it cinched it up tighter. So that's pretty close. So I would imagine it's gonna cinch up like that as well. So now I want you to check which part is the shorter one and the longer one. So the longer wire, we're gonna take our chain nose pliers and we're going to bend it up. Try to get centered, but if you don't quite get centered, it's not going to hurt it because it's a leaf. Leaves are not perfectly centered if you look at them. Leaves are not. Okay, so the next thing you're going to do is we're going to wrap it around, and we want them both to have the same amount of wraps. So I did 1, 2, 3, 1. Okay, we're like this for this one. Just once, twice, and then we made this with the third time around, so we want it 3 times. And I'm going to use the chain nose pliers to hold this in place. I'm going to flip it like this. We're going to pretend that that is a loop and you're making a bracelet. Okay. And then we're going to take this and 3 times. That's once, twice, and 3 times the charm. And look at your wraps. We want them to be nice. They're not close together. Squish them close together. And I bet you the leaf shape is pretty close now. Or maybe it's even smaller. Oh, it's pretty close. Look at that. See? Okay. So the next step that we're going to do is bring this down and cut it. But I want to show you, I'm going to give you a choice of things to do here. So I used my chain nose plier, and I squished this down like this to shape it. I mean, to lock in the shape, and it gives it the hammered look. Or you can actually hammer it, and if you want to hammer it, you need to do it at this time. I'm not hammering it, so I'm not going to do it. So you can watch what I do next, and that's okay. Okay, so now I'm just going to straighten this a little bit. Okay, for those that want to use your nylon pliers, that's okay. So I want it to have a curved look. See, it looks more like a leaf when you have a curved look. We don't want it straight down, but it might be too curved. Well, that looks pretty good to me. Okay. And I want to snip it about right here where the leaf is starting to spread there. So I'm going to lift this up because I don't want to cut the leaf. Yeah, get closer. Okay. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to crimp that end down. I mean, squish it down. We want to flatten it. Okay, see, we're getting thinner. We want it fairly thin. And when we do this, it's really strengthening it. And you just don't want it flatter. Actually, I want the tip quite thin, because then we'll roll the end. For those that have stronger hands, you'll do it much quicker than I can. I have to really work at it. I'm going 2 hands. Okay. Now I'm going to get the tip. Okay. And what the goal here is we're going to roll the end. I still want it skinnier than that. Okay, that's more like it. Now I'm gonna flatten it a little bit. I don't really want those Mars at the end, but I've got them. I'm gonna work with it. Okay, now that it's thin, I want to curl it like this and crimp it down. Okay, what that was supposed to do is make it so that there's no rough edges to touch. I flattened it too far, so now I'll have to work at it again. And it might happen to you too. No worries. This isn't a critical thing. Okay, much better end. Crimp it down. Want it curled under. There, now it doesn't have a sharp edge. I'm going to make it go. It went sideways. So I'm going to fix that. Working through the camera. I'm going to peep over. There, now it cooperated. Okay, so I've got it bent. No sharp edges. Looks okay. Okay, and then it gets pushed down. But before I push it down, now I want to flatten the tip a bit. And you could have done this with the hammer ahead of time. Not too thin. Just enough to force it to keep its shape. And it's best to go at an angle like this so that you're not leaving a bunch of marks. Okay, and now I'm going to push this down so that it sits in the middle. And what I mean by in the middle is the middle this way too, but also this way, so it's not sticking out. The tip anyways. So I want that tip. Okay. Okay. And if you're not happy with it, then you can make another one, because if it's copper, it's not costing a lot to do this. Okay, so the next thing to do is put on our beads. And this is what I had chosen to put on mine, but you might want to try something else. This is a great setting for lampwork beads, and I'm going to show you a couple of different variations of what you could do. And I'm going to pause it to show it, so I'll be right back. Okay, so here is a variety. This is one choice of bead setting you could do, and you can do all kinds of funky things and different kinds of beads. And so this is just being crazy. Great for the summertime with a hot pink. And here's one with choice of beads that has a lampwork bead in it. And I mean, the sky's the limit. You can experiment. Just showing a few ideas. Be right back. Here's one with a wider lampwork bead. What's nice about the leaf at the bottom is it's wider, so it kind of balances out a wider bead in there. And I mean, the sky's the limit. You can make long dangles and you can make short ones. What's really nice about this is you can have a longer earring, but because there's airspace here, it doesn't look so long. Okay. I also recommend having a round bead at the bottom because the wiring here isn't level. And then with a round one, it kind of disguises it, and you just, it's easier once you got the loop on it, and then you just make sure it's hanging right. And if it's not, then you can level out your beads just by bending the wire. Okay, because with the shape of the leaf, you can't tell if it's meant to be crooked or not. So the thing to do is actually to make the leaf crooked and not the beads crooked. Okay, so these are the beads that are going to be on this one, and all that's left to do is to make the loop, and we got to go this way. So you want your leaf facing perpendicular, and because we want to have the hanging loop open to the front to sit on the ear wire. Okay, so push it forward. Use your size of your favorite size for your ear wires. I mean, the loops for your earrings. Okay. And I want 4 wraps. That's what I did my measurement for. Okay, so that's 4. And then I'm going to bring it to the back, because that's where I want to snip it off. That way it hides the end. And I'm going to crimp it in. Make sure there's no rough wires sticking out, and there isn't. And now we check for straightness. Okay. And once the ear wire's on, we'll do it again. Okay. Right now that looks pretty straight. So I'm going to put the ear wire on, and that will tell all. The front. So I'm not sure if I mentioned that before, but we want this part to be the front. And so the curling up is at the front as well. Okay. Now, because the camera's tilted, it's hard for me to show you. Okay, see, this bead is angled, so I'm just gonna, it's hard for me to straighten it on camera. I'm gonna double check it. Okay. think I made it worse. Okay. What I gotta do. Okay, I think I got it. I actually had to move the leaf the opposite way of what my brain told me to do. So I think it's a good thing to experiment and figure out what's gonna make it sit straight. Okay. There. And the set is done. Okay. So it might seem like a little bit of fiddle work, but really it's not. And you too could make fancy head pins for your earrings. Isn't that lovely? Okay, thanks for joining me. And please remember to subscribe and hit that bell so you get notifications. And join me whenever you make my earrings. Thank you. Bye.